It's showtime.
Here we are. Yes, we're talking about outdated recreational devices,
Boom
recreational
bob.
media devices. That's right. AEIOU and sometimes Y.
Now I end up buying little $20 speakers. What one did I just buy? Hey, 62. Let me show you.
These are Lefty Blues is here. Friday, Friday, Friday.
I just got this one for about $18.
Mm-hmm.
It's got flashing lights. I got no reason for it. I have enough little speakers. Here we go. But I'll turn it on and you can see the flashing lights.
The flashing knob.
Bluetooth mode.
There we go. Flashing lights.
Connected.
The flashing knobs.
Power
That's
off.
The flashing knobs is from a British sitcom called Allo Allo, which was set in World War II.
Allo, hello.
Yeah, because the cafe owner in France was the contact for the French resistance, and for the French resistance, and they kept the radio under his mother-in-law's bed. So every time somebody called from London, the irons at the foot of the bed would start flashing. Because the transmission was coming in, and she would always say, "Oh, the flashing knobs!"
Ahoy, ahoy!
Hello, Donald.
Hello there. Good evening.
Yeah. That show was interesting because after season 3, it was all about the characters coming in and saying their catchphrase.
I just finished rewatching one of my favorite sitcoms from the late 90s that no one remembers because it's not available anywhere. Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
Never heard of that one.
Ryan Reynolds, Nathan Fillion shows up in it eventually. Trailer Howard is the girl, and I forget the other guy's name, but it's just about 3 young adults living in Boston. In there, and it was 4 seasons. I think the first season was only 6 episodes. By the 4th season, they were really hitting their stride, and it got canceled. It was only released on DVD in the UK.
Really? In the UK?
For some reason, that's where all the bootleg copies of it come from. Because it wasn't released. I don't think it was ever released in the US. You would think with Ryan Reynolds going on to fame and fortune, and Nathan Fillion too, that it would be somewhere. But as far as I know, it still isn't, except on my Plex server.
Yeah, here the sitcoms that we got here, usually we got them like 4 years out of date, so that they could have more than 3 seasons. And did by the first 3 seasons. Wilson's here.
Hello.
And then it will go on for another 3 or 4 seasons, and they would forget to buy the rights to those. I like watch the Who's the Boss finale like 5 years after the series had already been canceled. Goblin says rewatching Clear.
That MTV Clerks type show again.
Clerks.
Boston Stories is the name of it. One of my all-time favorite sitcoms. I watch it every December as sort of a tradition. I've been watching it every December as sort of a tradition since 1996. But there's only, because we loved it in the bullpen and would giggle at it all the time. And there's only, I think, 12 or 14. And yeah, you'd think I know, having seen it so many times. I think there's 12 episodes of it, maybe. That's it. And it was the first live action show ever on MTV. And it was just about these 4 20-somethings living in Austin, Texas. It was another one. It was a show about nothing, but I am amused by it endlessly. But completely forgotten show because, only lasted 14 episodes or whatever it was. Austin Stories. You can find it all on YouTube these days. But the funny thing too about it was there was one guy on there, Howard Kremer. That's his real name and his character's name.
Where was he a comedian?
He's a comedian. But in the show, he was kind of this guy from Jersey living in Texas and Austin. And he was kind of didn't have a job, stayed in police, was kind of always running these scams. But then MTV never released the series at all. But he was selling in the early 2000s, I think you can still get them, DVD. He himself, the actor, was selling DVDs of the series that he had made up on eBay. So it's like you felt you were part of Howard's scams.
Sid Goblin got a few mime shirts printed off in a really crappy style. The just never showed up. Austin Stories mime shirt is the best episode.
Yeah, that was a good one. Lots of good stuff there. Did you make it to the comic shop this week, Wilson?
As a matter of fact, I did, and there's a story. Because there always is. So I get to the comic book shop, and I'm going through the I'm going through the books. I'm looking at stuff, and usually they'll ask, "Oh, do I have any comics that are on hold?" I said, I believe I do have, this week's set of books. And they go looking and they can't find anything. And it was like, can you double check the email? And I looked and there's no email. So it's like, oh, it's not uncommon that they may be a week that there isn't a book. But it's like, I could have sworn I got an email saying that I paid for books. And I dislike their app. I go on it and it's just not for me. It makes me feel like I don't know how to use the internet, but I just don't like their app. Right. I don't like their interface. I don't like their website. Obviously, no fault Drew, the employees there.
Right.
They just don't have some books. I was like, all right, no problem. I'll take some books off the shelves. This way here is not a waste of the trip. Plus, I like getting out of the house. The difference is this was yesterday. I usually show up on a Friday because I always attempt to show up on a Wednesday, and it doesn't happen. So it's like, so even if I showed up on Wednesday, they weren't going to have my books. It wasn't until I got home. The moment I get off the subway at home in the Bronx, I get the email that says my books are now ready. So I guess it must have been a late shipment to the store. It could happen. So I did consider going back today and pick up the books, but I had decided no, I was making beef stew for dinner today, and I had invited my sister, and it's like with beef stew, making everything fresh, I got to start that like in the early afternoon to let it just cook all day. So I was like, all right, I won't go to the shop. It'll give me something to do next week, of course. There'll be hopefully 2 weeks worth of books, but I did pick up a few things. So
is that
what
the new
I got,
Daredevil there?
I picked up the new bagged Daredevil, and I think tonight we'll open it up to see what cover I got.
The writer, what's her name? Stephanie Phillips. I think she was doing a signing.
She did a signing at the other Midtown Comics.
Oh, okay. The other.
Yeah, because there's three shops in the city.
The 40th
one
Street
is closed. One is closed for repairs.
Oh.
But or renovations or something. So we have what's called Grand Central, which is the one I enjoy going to, and then you have Times Square, which is both shops are completely fine, nice size, well stocked. The Times Square I feel is a little more touristy, so it's always packed.
Yeah, there was a lot of people online for her.
Yeah, I saw her video and it was like a ton of people. So and, the book came out this week and I was like, all right, I usually don't get the blind bags, but I figured, it'll give me content for the show.
Yes, that'd be fun to open it up.
One. Yeah, $6. So don't know if we'll get a $6,
Was
cover.
The blind bag the same price as the not blind bag one?
I didn't check. I I am not too sure. Since it is an issue number 1, it might be a little more pricey for that purpose. It just doesn't feel like a double-sized book. So that I picked up off the shelf. I also picked up Comics the Magazine.
Oh, got mine too.
Issue number 2. And then
Battle
the last
Beast.
book I picked up is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Godzilla from IDW, issue number 5.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the books that I happened to pick up off the shelf because they didn't have my books ready at the time. So I think a pretty good set of stuff, and something to open up. So we could do that now or go on as we are talking about the books that we picked up.
Your choice. SBPT is here. Finally, he's been missing out on our shows lately, but apparently he had a good reason.
Finishing last week's episode that I missed because I had 160 students to grade. Oof.
Yeah.
Wow.
He says that Stephanie Phillips' writing is so dull.
I liked Grimm. That's what I read of hers. I never read any of her. I think she did that one. Grimm with Flaviano was the artist. I enjoyed that series. I haven't read any of her Marvel stuff.
I haven't. I don't think I've read any of her Marvel stuff, or I didn't read Grimm, so I do not know how she is a writer because I don't recall reading her stuff yet.
But I often find writers that I like their indie stuff. I find their Marvel or DC stuff dull, so that's not that wouldn't be unusual. Me being an indie guy. And also the I didn't notice till this week the artist on Daredevil is what's his name? Lee Garbett, I think is his name, who I now know from a lot of the Firefly covers that I bought. He drew at least a dozen of those Firefly covers, especially in the beginning. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. He's the Daredevil artist. Cool. He did some nice covers for Firefly.
Okay.
She was at Portugal last year. No books published over here. Motive for an invitation. She's Azarella's sweetheart. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah. Even Azarella doesn't have that much published over here. Not in the last few years. But it did come. I did do something with him for a now extinct Portuguese YouTube channel. That was what, 7 years ago? Probably.
I notice it's easier for a writer to get some jobs being someone's sweetheart than an artist.
Yeah, because the writer, you can cover for your significant other by rewriting some stuff, and the editor will never know. The artist,
you got to be able to draw.
So far, I have no books published anywhere, so let's consist in the least. You need to give yourself a deadline. No time traveling.
Yeah. And I noticed the Comics, the magazine, because like Wizard, they sometimes have a how-to page with art. And this week's art school page is how to make blood splatter. So they're breaking out the old toothbrush method you can see there. Even with the black thumb.
Yeah, it's interesting because you have bad photos. You have very large text.
Yep.
And the photos you have are tiny. Now, granted, it looks like they're pulling images off of a YouTube tutorial.
It's very hard to see.
And because of that, the lighting is very bad.
Here's a toothbrush tip. You don't have to use your thumb to flick the toothbrush. You can use another brush.
You can use another brush. You can wear gloves. I mean, I've done it. My hands are dirty. I've done it
that way too.
You know, because it's the whole you're not thinking about it. It's like, oh, it could use this, and you just start going. It's
That's how I was taught
messy
to do
process.
it.
Yeah,
But
and that's the thing. You just use your hands and don't worry about it.
you can
An interesting
do this
magazine.
too. It's a little easier.
Yeah,
Yeah. Eric P says he's not reading, he's not picking up Daredevil, but he is enjoying her She-Hulk series.
Okay. She's a good follow on TikTok. Deadline? Okay.
Christmas last year, Captain.
This time I mean it.
I like the magazine. I like being able to pick up a physical item to read about comic books.
Right.
I like that. I even looked at some of the ads as I was looking at it because I was trying to figure out, okay, they're located in New York. According to the indicia, they're in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Or at least their P.O. box is in Brooklyn. Design-wise is good. Most of the stuff is
I wouldn't
interesting.
call it good. I'd call it wizard-like.
Yeah, wizard-like. There's even a classified section was kind of fun to read as well. I haven't really gone into the articles themselves.
They're wizard-like. They're short. But there's a variety of stuff. There's some indie stuff. There's some recommendations. There's a couple light interviews.
This design is very much wizard.
Yeah,
and it's even early wizard.
Yes,
right. They're really going for that fun, energetic chaos look.
Interesting that Mad Cave has a solicitations in it.
Yeah, look at that.
And they even have a section that talked about if you liked any of these books, you can order them. And this is interesting too, which means there's still space to get ads.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them are house ads too. I think that they were looking to fill up.
Exactly. And it's like top 10 cover artists, top 10 interior artists, top 10 writers.
Definitely wizard.
Yep,
they're
very
having a
much
little fun
wizard.
with it.
Let's see if they have top 10 letterers. No,
they do not have top 10 letterers.
Top 10 colorist. No.
Eh.
A CGC page.
Yeah, that's fun. That's a place you can buy stuff too. There's a little thing down the corner that says whatever short boxed is a marketplace. Those are actual prices that people bought stuff for at short boxed, and you can go there too and buy stuff.
And then, well, like I was saying before, the back says, if there's anything you liked in here,
a checklist.
Here's a checklist
that you can drop off with your LCS.
So I like that. And then another ad for CGC. So for $2.99.
Oh, that's the best part.
This was fun.
Right.
I even looked at this ad here for these stackable draw boxes, and I considered them. It's like, ooh, that looks pretty neat.
Like I was just on Final Order Cutoff this week, was an annual for T.O. Morrow's, like a Neil Adams annual, I think it was. But it was $13. I was like, oh.
Yeah, Tomorrow's.
I don't want to spend $13.
Stuff from Tomorrow's is kind of expensive given the design quality mostly of their books.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things feel like it's like they're pasting up a fanzine.
The cheap design doesn't even bother me that much. It's just it's just so expensive.
Yeah,
that's all it comes down to. It's like, do I want to read more about Neil Adams for $13? I'm not sure.
No. If it was maybe Don Newton.
I don't know what. Just especially since I bought the Alter Ego tribute issue to Neil Adams. That one. Mm-hmm. That crazy Roy Thomas editorial in it. That one was good though.
But Roy created Neil Adams.
Yeah,
they had to have a say in it.
Yeah.
In Portugal, we only have the two. Yeah, the Batman books I think came out in newspaper collection, and the Wonder the Bullets. Volume 1 came out, Volume 2 did not. Typical.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to read Wonder Woman in Portugal, man.
Wonder Woman is more important as a cultural figure than a comic book. Yeah. And this week's comic book death was unfortunately my childhood friend, who I don't know if you saw my post on Facebook. I got news, I think it was last Sunday, that
I did not see that.
My childhood friend, who's been in Louisiana the last 25 years or something, died in a car accident last Sunday. I was like, But he ties into comic books because he was the one I collected comic books with as a kid. If you remember the stories I've told about the Kid Network in the suburbs, where you'd hear about someone in some neighborhood has selling comics, and you'd bicycle over to their house and knock on their door and say, "We hear Timmy's selling comics," and his sister would be like, "Timmy, kids for you." Steven was always with me on those runs for comic books. And he kind of gave up collecting comic books around high school. So I have a whole bunch of his comic books in my collection still. Like Wilson, he was a Spider-Man guy. And Marvel Team Up may have been his favorite, I think. But he was also the one, the phrase, "You don't have a collection, you have an accumulation," comes from. That was his friend Steve, another Steve, describing Stephen Ward's collection. He's like, he doesn't, because one time I was like, "Oh yeah, Stephen's collecting those wrestling magazines too," and he went, no, he doesn't have a collection, he's got an accumulation of them. Because if you can't find stuff, you don't have a collection, you've got an accumulation. I've always liked that. But yeah, the same guy who was, of course, we're talking on Facebook saying, "I can't believe Stephen died." And he was like Stephen, he kind of gave up comic books mostly, and for all the rest of his life was collecting sports stuff. I can tell you stories about his sports stuff too, and a lot of autographs he collects. He's one of these people who would like send cards in the mail to try to get autographs from all sorts of unknown, forgotten players, and he'd go to autograph shows and get autographs. And my friend, his friend Steve, said that he's like, just last weekend he went to, I guess he was getting back into some comic book autographs, because he went to MegaCon in Florida to get Frank Miller's autograph, which we're not sure if he got or not.
Just to show off some of the books from Steve's collection as a tribute.
I'm going to have to remember which one. I know some of the Treasury editions I got over there were his. I think the ones in really bad condition.
Yeah, go find out where the books are accumulated. Fairtuck says, "I know the popular thing was to knock Wizard, but it promoted the comic industry to no end, and it got me reinterested in comics." Here's the thing: I only started reading Wizard for real in 1996, so that was after the market crash. And by that time, I think they figured out that they could try to keep the jokey tone, but they made sure that they were covering as much of the world of comics as possible.
Like I bet,
I've never met anyone who was not a fan of Palmer's picks.
I bet this one was his, just because it's kind of dirty and a little beaten up. And his Treasury editions were always more beaten up than mine. I only got them into bags like at the end of last year.
Those look a lot like my Treasury editions.
Yeah.
Mine's never made it into a bag because I could never find one that would fit.
I only got these bags.
My pages are brown.
Was that the one that had the new Howard the Duck story?
I don't know. Let me see. Howard the Duck.
Yeah, it's a Defenders tribute issue, but I think it has a Howard the Duck at the end.
The pinup gallery on sale. One Planet, slightly used. I don't think so. Let's see. No, it goes Defenders all the way to the end.
Okay.
All the way to the fin. I don't even remember this one. Who knows the last time I had it out?
I'm pretty sure it was a Defenders one. Let me check on the GCD. Marvel Treasury. Marvel Treasury. Come here.
But I know I got at least half a dozen Treasury editions from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I also got I don't have too many of them left. I sold them over the years. At one point in time, when
I know it's not that. You have 16. The one with the Howard the Duck is 12.
Okay. When the Wolverine miniseries came out, the Frank Miller one, Chris Claremont one, he got it in his head that locally he wanted to try to corner the market on that Wolverine series. So he went to all the local newsstands and bought them up. So he must have had 20 copies of it, maybe 30 of all 3 issues. And when he quit collecting comic books, sometime around college, high school, maybe I think in college it was, he gave me all of those. So for years and years and years, I had like 30 copies each of those, which I sold over the years. Anytime like the local comic shop would run out of them, she's like, do you want to bring me in 5 copies? And I'd bring in 5 copies and sell them to her. And then, whenever that was, 7, 8 years ago, when I had to sell a bunch of comics because I didn't have any freelance work, I sold all the rest of them, which I had. It's got a pretty good price for them too, because they were all in good shape, having just sat around for all these years doing nothing. But yeah, those specifically I got from him. A whole bunch of copies of that Wolverine miniseries. I bought a few. I kind of got caught up in it too and bought a few copies, but he was like, I think I can corner the market on them. Never had anyone to sell them to.
If you do it at the right time, you can, but that's how you get stuck with books. I can't tell you how many issues of Death Mate I have. Because I bought those from, I want to say maybe there was a company that was doing kind of like, they had ads in Marvel comic books. And it could very well be the early days of Dynamite Entertainment. Not Dynamite, the Dynamic Forces.
Mm-hmm.
Which they had like a QVC type of show or something. And they were doing, and it could very well not be them, because I remember the logo being some sort of eagle. And this is 35 years ago, if not even a little more. It was before I worked at Marvel, and it's when I was still working at the comic book shop. And so if you were to buy the whole series, because they had multiple covers, and this was the Image crossover with
Valiant,
thank you. That crossover, they had various books, and you could get what was called Death Mate Gold. So you had Death Mate Black, Death Mate Red, green, whatever, all these different colors. But Death Mate Gold, you could only get if you bought like 4 copies of the whole series. So a friend and myself got together and was like, all right, we'll chip into this.
mm-hmm.
We'll buy it, and then we'll sell them off as sets. That was the plan. We didn't get as far as who we're going to sell these sets to. But we'll sell them off as sets. So we make the plan, we buy the books, profit. There's something in between, but we wasn't sure what it was. All to get this Death Mate Gold. And sure as it is, with my luck, we get the books in. They're beautiful, but that one Death Mate Gold done in a foil cover, a crink right in the middle of it, like basically right above the UPC code. it looks like the book got bent right there. And this is a gold foil that you might as well practically see the white underneath it. And it was like, and again, what did I know about returns or
Right.
even be able to, who do I complain to?
Yeah.
Never thought that far into the concept. And it's like, still got all those books. I don't think I ever saw. And I think Death Mate Black has the first appearance of Genterkeen. So that book might be worth something. But once I put them in the box, I never wanted to look at that thing again.
They just represented disappointment.
It completely did. But accidentally cornering the market. So you remember that in Earth X, you had these special miniseries books that were one-shots.
Yep.
And the one with Spidey got recalled. It got recalled because within the artwork, something was written on a bookshelf about the firing of Bob Harris. So on the spine of these books on the shelf, it was written, haha, Bob Harris, good luck to you, blah, 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 kind of a thing. So that book was recalled. But not necessarily destroyed, because all those books were done was sent back to Marvel. And what happened to those books? They got tossed into the giveaway bins. And so I looked, and every time I looked in the giveaway bin, there was another set of books. So it's like, well, these are recalled and destroyed. I'm going to take them. And I took, I don't know how many, maybe 20 of them when it was all said and done. But I was the only one that had copies of them on eBay. Now, they weren't selling for crazy bucks back then, because it kind of was still kind of a newish thing. For even there to be a market for recall books. And I only had 2 recall books. I had the Mission Impossible one, also again from Marvel, and that Spidey one. And the Spidey one was like every now and then I'll just put one up on eBay, and it would sell like $50, which is a pretty good amount for a book that paid nothing for. And again, it was like I wasn't just putting them all up there. I just put every few months. It's like, I could use some extra cash and put up there. And then one time I had someone's like, how many of these do you have? I was like, oh, I don't know. I think at that time it's like I had maybe 10. I told the guy, and it's like, I would like to buy them all from you. I'm like, sure. We came up with a number, whatever it was, and sold. And again, close to that $50 mark per issue kind of a thing. And so I sold it. And every once in a while, I'll be going through we won't call it a collection, the accumulation, in honor of your friend. I would find one of these books because I didn't have anything in order. I would take them home at different times from Marvel. And as I told you guys, it's like I would just put them in boxes and then seal the box and put it away. So every time I got a set of books in, I would look through them, take out what I wanted, whatever was extra, seal the box, put it away. So once in a while, I would pull out another one of these. And it's like, I do have one that I kept for my collection. And then the rest, sell it whenever I sell it. And then so probably about a year or 2 later, after selling what I thought was all my stock, I found another one. It's like, I'll toss it up there. And it went for like $100. And I get an email from that guy who bought it from me, year prior.
He noticed, huh?
I thought you said you sold them all. And it's like, I did. I found another one. It's like, I'm not lying. I sold you everything I had on hand that I was aware of. And he seemed to be upset. It's like, but they're not popping up anywhere. And I did notice that
corner the market. You're right.
So all of them that exist on CGC, I believe, originally came out from my collection. I was the only one that ever had them on eBay. So I did corner the market. And it's like, and every now and then I'm like, I should have held on to a few more. I may still have a few more. But that Mission Impossible book, I only had that one.
Yeah.
I only had the one copy.
Well, when Steven and I used to go out on the kids network getting comic books, I would say it's late 70s. Probably comic books were a quarter at the time. And we would buy the back issues for maybe a dime. So usually we'd go to someone's house and we might get a couple bucks worth of comics out of it. That's just how it went. Except for one time. We went there and the guy had like a whole bunch of comics, maybe 200 comics. And he was 300, whatever, and all Marvels, 70s Marvels at the time, like Avengers, Hulk, Spider-Man, all Bronze Age stuff. And I think he was like, for all of them, give me $20. And we were like, whoa. So it's like we had to go home and scrounge up $10 a piece somehow. I don't even remember how. And then I just remember like spreading them all out over his patio and picking them. You get the Avengers, I get the Hulks, you get the Spider-Mans, I get the Iron Mans, I'll take the Defenders. We just had such fun that day, getting like a huge batch of. That was the only time we ever got that big a batch of comics at one time. Sure was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that he passed.
Yeah, it's sad. I've been sad all week.
I could understand.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, no big names this week.
No, I think they all happened like 2 weeks before that.
I believe yesterday I read Inker had passed away, but the name I do not recognize. And it's like I've read it on Facebook real quick, and it's like, oh, I got to get back to that. And then it's one of those, you press Facebook and the whole feed goes, and I don't know who announced it, and it wasn't like something that, it was just someone had passed who was an Inker.
Like, oh, who was that? Who was that?
Yeah, it's like I couldn't even see who like posted it up.
I can show you something interesting I got this week that I kind of made. Wilson will recognize a 3M.
Oh, yeah.
But this isn't the original 3M. Well, for those of you who don't know, this is how the printer used to send proofs to the comic book companies. And it's got the CMYK plates. There's the magenta plate. Mm-hmm. There's the yellow plate. There's the black plate. And there is there's the cyan plate and there's the black plate. And here is a giant one.
Ooh, that's 13 a nice
by
one.
19. Made this up. Whoops.
Oops.
Cyan plate going. I have this hinged on 4 sides like they used to do color sets rather than all from the top like they used to do these 3Ms. But the story behind this is, those printers negatives that I've been getting over the years. Oops. And it was the Spooky Spooktown one that I got this year back in January. And once and this is how you can proof the comic book cover. How you can figure out that everything's okay and write up notes and say, no, there's a problem with the magenta plate. But my friend Ed actually bought the original 3Ms of those for in the 90s, I think it was. He bought them. And he uses them to teach his students too, to show them the printing process in CMYK. And he saw me scanning in the negative and he's like, can you scan in those 3Ms? I'm like, sure. So I took his, he actually owns the originals to these Superman. It's Superman Annual 12 1986, Brian Boland cover, and Action Comics 552, a Gil Kane cover, it looks like. And he's been using them for years. I was like, bring him in. I'll scan him in. And because he's like, can we print these out somehow? I'm like, yeah, you can print on acetate. There's inkjet acetate. I'm like, I've done it before for mine, for printing proofs on the ones I scanned. And he's like, can we print them big? Because I'd like them bigger. I was like, yeah, we can do that. So he brought them in. I scanned them in. What's interesting too is the color must have faded on them over the years, because I had to color correct them, because the colors were about half strength. Like, instead of Superman's blue being 100 cyan, it was somewhere around 50 or 60 cyan. And you really couldn't tell just looking at it, because all the colors had kind of faded together, so it was all kind of equal. But once I got it into Photoshop and knew I had to color correct it, I was like, "Ooh, these are really, the colors are turned down on these more than I thought." And then he brought them over to the, like I said, you can actually buy acetate paper for your home printer, but he wanted to do it at he works at another school too. And he knew they had a good print lab where he'd have to pay for it, but he was like, you know what? I'm going to have them made there. So he brought them. I did all the digital work on them, scanned them in, color corrected them, made a PDF out of each individual color. And he brought them over to there and had them printed. He said they loved printing them out on the print lab. I'm like, yeah, it's probably a change of pace for them.
Yeah. There's
But
something
let that
cool with
also,
Superman, but there's printing history if you're into that.
yeah. And
Captain Kennedy says to remember to always ensure your speech balloon text is printed in CMYK.
yeah, to make it extra fuzzy.
Yeah, because I ran into that fairly recently in
Yeah.
printing, that sometimes you'll hit something and it's like, oh, that's not it. And I've had quite a few times that the art director will send something back and it's like, could you fix this? It's like, yes, it's technically my fault. Of course I'll fix it. Yeah, those like a simple thing that you would not know. It's like, a
Yeah.
check in a box or something can, mess that up. So, even though that was funny, we got to make sure that we do not want to do it now. We don't want to
Do
spread
not underprint your
misinformation
lettering.
in the joke.
And what's funny too is Stephen Ward's friend, Stephen, who I mentioned before, he has emailed me before, because like years ago, because he was looking at some comic book production artwork on eBay. And he's like, do you think this is genuine? I mean, could this stuff be duplicated? I'm like, I could duplicate it. I don't know how many people out there could. So let that be a lesson to you. If you're buying original production artwork, there are people out there who know how to duplicate it, because it is a mechanical process. And I think you might be able to tell, well, you tell by the size that this isn't original. But if you put a magnifier up to it, you might be able to see some dots that indicate inkjet, but I don't even really know if you can. I haven't looked at it through a loop yet. So
Yeah, that's
look at
a hard.
everything with a grain of salt if you're buying production artwork. Look at where it's coming from, and because don't pay a lot of money for it, because it might not be real. You never know.
Yeah, too many things can be duplicated, and it comes down to knowing what you're looking at. And I've taken chances on stuff that's like, this is probably not real, but it's not that expensive for me to check it out. Because if I like it, and if it's what I think it is, I'll buy more.
Right.
But it turns out it's like, no, this is a copy of the thing I want.
Right.
And it's like, those oversized black and white books that shows the original artwork. Some of these look like a proof from that process. They're like, no, this is just a really okay photograph copy taken from the book. They might have tore out the pages, made a copy, and the problem is that on a computer screen, it looks good. But when you
My
get it in hand and go, okay, so the artifacts of the fuzziness that you may have thought was because of a photograph, it turns out it's like, oh, someone took it upon themselves to buy the original and just making copies of them.
my friend Ed bought that. I mentioned it last year or so. Bought that Todd McFarlane artwork that turned out to be a
Right.
page torn out of an artist edition.
Yeah.
And
So
he
those,
knew
yeah,
he was taking a
to be
chance.
careful. Yep.
But for
You know,
some
sometimes
reason,
you may get
the
something
hope
great,
of getting a winning
but
lottery ticket just was too
yeah,
much for him.
yeah. So I've
Sometimes
I've
life
seen a
is like
few of those.
that.
Seen a few of those where it's like, okay, so this is what that is, and it's like, you know, it's hard to know what's real. It's like I got I don't know 7 FedEx boxes full of Marvel not stats, sorry, just copies. The
Yeah,
regular copies that we would get,
photocopies.
because you know the photocopies would be made a bunch of different times for Marvel, and it's like I would get a ton of photocopies when I got the original artwork. Sometimes it will be the photocopy of that piece of artwork connected to it, and that you usually just take the staple out, not the staple, the paper clip out, and technically just throw out the copies and send back the originals. And so I'll send back the original and just have a ton of copies, and eventually like, oh, I like these, I'm going to take them
Yeah.
home, and some were pencils so I could practice inking on it and all
Yep.
that. So I had taken stuff, and it's just a photocopy. It is still original Marvel production art, but if you take that and make a copy of it, then you got the same thing. There's not really much of a difference, and you have there's so many of that type of stuff out there. And with the production art, as you mentioned, I've bought a few things, but at the same time, it's like you could easily make these. And what gets me is that there are stuff that is production, but it kind of doesn't make sense to me in where it could have been used,
Hmm.
because some of them are the same size as the printed page.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but what would this have been used for?
Oh, they sent those off to those were the stats you sent off to foreign licensing.
Right. So I've
They
seen
they they were printed page size. Like they would send stats of the black plate with the lettering removed
right,
at print size. Those I knew they'd send.
and I've seen and bought like a print size, what looks a like the 3Ms, but they were
Mhm.
in comic book size, and it was like from Secret Wars, and it's like
Okay.
this wouldn't have been made back in '84 because the size is wrong, and it has the lettering in it, so I don't think it was something for overseas. But I can't place what it could be for, only because it is the same size as the comic book itself.
Mhm.
So it's like there was little oddities like that that would pop up, and it's like I am not too sure what this is from. So because I would get asked every once in a while, hey, can you verify what this is? And I'll look at it and it's like I have no idea what this is. It's cool, but it's like I am not sure what it could be used for, because again, I don't know everything that goes on, especially since there's reprinting overseas. There's
Yeah.
reprinting overseas, or even reprinting in countries that will print it in English. So I'm not too sure what their process could be. So these things will pop up every once in a while.
Yeah. I got a Scott Koblish cover this week that's kind of interesting.
What is it, or
A
what book?
Venom 256.
Hmm.
And it's a spoiler cover, and it took me a bit to figure out what the spoiler is. Here's the cover. And it's, of course, the Beatles, Abbey Road.
Oh, okay. I get the spoiler now. Okay. That's the Baxter building in the background. That's pretty neat.
And then at the bottom here, hidden, it says Paul Rabin is dead. And that was the spoiler.
Right.
Because that's this middle
like,
guy here missing his shoes.
Right.
And I didn't know any of this to give it away. And who's the book by? The book is by the Eternal Search for the Credits. I don't know who the book is by, but he gets stabbed by this guy's name is Spiral, this villain, and he stole the Shocker's gloves. So he's got like the Shocker's shock gloves that he does terrible things with. And here's the problem. Come on, who did? Oh, there we go. And they gave a little recap that I actually read, so I figured out what was going on. It's Al Ewing is the writer. Carlos Gomez is the artist. Frank Darmada is the color artist. And Clayton Cowell is the letterer. And it was an okay issue.
Which one of those do you think is the Junji Ito fan?
Al Ewing.
Yeah.
Spiral, that's right. But most artists are Spiral fans. Yes. That what is the reference to? That's the spoiler. Paul is dead.
Right. I like that it's on there backwards. Because it's supposed to be if you played one of the Beatles albums backwards, you hear Paul is dead. The cover is a Beatles cover.
Right.
And if you know anything about the Beatles, you know the lineup of the way they're standing is basically the one with the bare shoes is the body. And
he's the dead one with bare feet.
Dead one with the bare feet. There's a funeral procession.
Yeah.
So you have that. So it's the spoiler that Paul, that character who was dating Mary Jane, because at some point Mary Jane, Paul, Spider-Man, and 2 kids were in an alternate dimension that time went quickly in that dimension. So when Peter came out, he was doing everything he could to go back to Mary Jane. So Mary Jane and Paul kind of adopted these 2 kids because they were there long enough, because for some reason Spider-Man cannot have a girlfriend. And so Spidey goes, saves the day, brings them back from that dimension, but she basically, with this Paul guy, raised these 2 kids, and then Spider-Man is alone once again. So
and a lot of people everybody hates like Paul.
A lot of people did not like Paul. It's not his fault.
Right.
But, again, it's one of those things where comics needs the drama.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the one they decided on.
Paul will probably come back to life as the new Walrus, because there was a Spider-Man villain named Walrus.
I am the Walrus. Yeah.
There you go. Cuckoo, cuckoo.
And
if they wanted to be on the nose, they would have done it.
The main problem I have with this issue is that who's in it? This is Venom. Spiral's in it. He's a killer. Who shows up? Venom, Spider-Man, and Carnage are in it. Carnage is a killer. Venom's been a killer too. Spider-Man doesn't fit in a book where people are killing each other, or people are killing people. And even at one point, he's like, no, we can't kill him, the Spiral guy. And Carnage is like, oh, no, we're going to kill him. Or Venom at first was like, and it's like, these superheroes who don't kill, which I'm perfectly okay with, like Spider-Man, don't fit in a book where the villains kill casually and there's never any repercussions to it. Like, if there were villains who killed and then ended up in jail and never could get out, that would be one thing. But Venom and Carnage are in like half the books in the Marvel universe, and they're killers. So it like makes no sense to me. And of course they're symbiotes, so they're people in them aren't responsible, yada yada yada, whatever. But it's like Spider-Man was so impotent in this story because there was nothing he could do to stop anyone from killing anyone. And it was just like, he wasn't heroic at all. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. And not just in this book, in like books and Marvel and DC books in general, when I don't think you can team up very easily the people who just murder casually from the ones who don't. I don't know what you guys think of that, but
well, I think the editorial mandate right now is that Spider-Man is a loser, Spider-Man is a loser, Spider-Man is a loser. So
right.
he will not be able to do anything proactively or to have a moral code at all. So he will go along with Venom and Carnage while trying to convince them they shouldn't kill anybody, which doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense. Makes no sense to me, and it kind of takes me out of the. I mean, it wasn't badly done or anything. It just takes me out of the story when
it's the same thing with Batman now. If they need, because now they can't. They let Batman hang around Catwoman and Poison Ivy and Harley.
Why I can't read Joker stories anymore. Because the Joker's killed so many people, and it's like. And I'm not even saying Batman has to kill the Joker. I'm just saying the Joker has to go to jail and not get out. Make another Joker, whatever you got. But it just doesn't make any sense in the world, especially since human beings are really good at locking people up.
Yeah.
The human race is excellent at locking people up and them never seeing the light of day until they die. I mean, America is especially good at it. We've got an industry devoted to it. But all around the world, they throw you in the Tower of London, you're never seen again. You'll probably die within a few years.
But in superhero comics, you get a 25 to life, and you're out of jail in 2 weeks.
Right, and it's just like,
yeah. To me, it's the and it takes me out sometimes as well, where you're not following your own rules.
Yeah.
You have places. It bothers me, I think, more in DC than Marvel, but Arkham is useless.
Yeah.
And with the Marvel universe, what's annoying is that you occasionally get told about places like the Vault or the Raft, and it's like, oh, all the greatest minds got together to make this thing that you could never break out of. You got Reed Richards building something. You got Ant-Man keeping them in a different dimension and all this stuff. And it's a good idea until another writer decides, oh, I need them to break out. And they break out easily. And again, it comes down to them not paying attention to their own rules.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a continuity editor anymore. And things like that, just slips through way too easily. And it's kind of like forgotten until that, it's like, oh, we could do this instead. And it's like, you're doing too much. As a big Spider-Man fan, I agree with you totally that, Venom, Carnage are like, they should be like one-shot characters that pop up, causes trouble, gets put away and locked away. But they become way too popular to the point where eventually they become a hero. And I dislike that a lot because, I'm all for redemption stories. But by the next year, they're going back to their regular ways. And I think it happens way too many times.
As I always say, the problem is they're not characters, they're intellectual property.
Yes. They need to be made to be put on a lunchbox, on a T-shirt. So,
and if they sell as a villain, they have to come back as a villain.
Yeah, until they come back as a hero, because eventually they become too popular that it's like we can't have them a villain anymore. That's why you have Harlequin has her own book and she's, a hero.
Paul Atreides doesn't count. Royal families are
But that
all
guy
evil.
from Dune?
Yeah, royal families are naturally evil, and they will go to war with each other and use normal people as cannon fodder. Was Peter making out with an alien?
Not recently. Johnny Storm, whatever walks through the door, Johnny is going to be there. I don't know. I don't recall Peter making out with an alien recently, unless there's something I missed, which I very well could, because I am buying Spider-Man books. I'm not necessarily reading them. He was in space for a while. Last few months, he was in space, I think, running around with the Guardians. So he might have hooked up with an alien out there. But I am not positive. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah. And this week I also finished up Eclipse Monthly. And it was really running. I think I showed this issue last week. I'm not 100% sure. Because I think I finished 8, 9, and 10. This is the rather dull story about that guy hunting the bear who killed his father. I don't know. I think all the good stuff was used up. I think that's like by the end, Rio, of course, is terrific. Just because Doug Wildley is so good. But, and I think what also killed Eclipse Monthly, here's a weird one. Who does this? A story about a skyjacking Jeddah. Which was, it just seemed like, I mean, did they just have that lying around? I mean, where's our, by Wayne Truman. I didn't even look up who Wayne Truman was. So the last issue had a Wayne Truman story, a Doug Wildley Rio story, which are always good. Doug Wildley is just a terrific artist. And then it ended with another Masked Man story, which after this went on to get its own series. And I think that's one of the things that killed this, is that everything that was good went on to its own series. So I have to say Eclipse Magazine was a lot better than Eclipse Monthly. Even though some of the stories ended in here. But, not that great. I could probably get rid of these if I wanted now, because I can't see. Well, I'll have to get a collected edition of Dope by Trina Robbins. Well, yeah, there's probably some Masked Man that haven't been collected in there, too. I'll keep them in case I ever want to read Masked Man again.
Wayne Truman doesn't have that many.
No,
he does. Wait a second. Actually, no, he does. He was the inker on something called The Scythe, which appeared in Mystery, was a backup.
Okay.
Eclipse Monthly did Jeddah, and then he was mostly a letterer.
Oh, letterer! Ha! They're barely human.
Barely. You ever eat with one? Oh.
I used to always say that to Dave Sharp. Oh, there goes the letterer again, thinking he's a human being. He always appreciated my humor.
The best letterer ever was called A Machine.
Gaspar.
Okay. He did a lot of. Yeah, I think he was on staff. May have been on staff at Eclipse, because he was doing everything. There is Airboy, Miracle Man, all the manga titles. That's Xanadu. Vicky Wyman. I don't know what that is. Bogey, a graphic novel story about Humphrey Bogart. Oh, wait, this is French. Eclipse published it in 1989. It's French, and when Truman was the letterer, but that's what he ended up doing.
Some lettering.
Yeah, some lettering, quite some lettering. Okay, there's 11 pages of credits here. hold on a second. Crying Freeman, that's in 1992. Macross, and then he moved to Viz. Yeah.
And was relettering a lot of that Viz stuff.
Yeah, he probably figured out a way to incorporate English into the original speech.
Yep.
Because they're not in the same
Word
format.
balloon.
So
Yeah, their balloons are longer, and it
I
can be
wonder.
a hassle.
I wonder when they stopped reversing the Japanese pages. When did that happen? Sometime in the 90s, probably.
Depending on the publisher, they would
Right.
just they would do the reversal and let you know. Some others will put like a stop. You're reading this from the wrong side. Go to the other side.
Right.
I think what happens is at some point in general in publishing that even the creators just started doing it the American way and started because they love the American comics. They started mimicking everything about it. So they started even creating their books in that direction. Not everyone, but
Right.
some did. So I think that you have an amalgam of a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Some
But
still do it the other way, but
I know,
at
like the
some
stuff
point,
from the 80s that was published here that was Japanese, like Lone Wolf and Cub, Kamui, Mai the Psychic Girl, and stuff like that. They flopped it all and re-lettered it, and sometimes had to rechange the artwork around too for
yes,
the flow.
yeah,
And
it
it
was
was always expensive.
yeah. So since if they had like some publishing companies did have an in-house bullpen to do that.
And at some
Many did.
point, everybody
Many
just
did
went,
not.
screw it, publish it the Japanese way.
Yeah.
I wonder
So
what that point was. What was the first?
I'm not sure. When I started working on manga, I came in going, "Oh, here are my samples." I did the flipping,
Right.
and at that point, this is 1997 or 8. This is Mike Lackey. He told me, "Yeah, we're not doing it that way anymore. We're going to just
Right.
go." So it was at some point where it was like, there was an added expense, and
Right.
manga at that time was already expensive to do. As the production guy, as the letterer, we were given the original comic book.
Yeah.
We would cut the pages out, scan them at 1200 DPI, erase the lettering, and then go in and letter the books. And we got a really good page rate that, my first set of books paid for my whole studio to get all new equipment.
Right.
Not too long after that, they were like, "Oh, we're going to stop. We're going to now start instead of giving you the book to cut, we're going to give you a burnt CD that has the stuff already done from Japan."
Right.
So it was like, okay, now we're actually getting files. Communication is not only better but faster because the internet is just starting out, where we're
Mhm.
sending files back and forth and burning it on CD. It wasn't fast enough to send the files directly to my home computer yet,
Right.
but it was like enough to burn it on a CD and go that way. And then that's where, you take a pay cut from that. And
Mhm.
then it got down to the point where it's like, okay, now you're just getting paid for lettering, and it immensely changed the price you would get for a book.
Yeah.
So I think it was going for a little while that direction. And I think the flipping was the first thing. And
Right.
to me, I think that happens in the 90s, but it wasn't in the 80s yet, where the
Yeah.
books, we were first getting the books. I don't recall, was Akira done the original way, or did Marvel flip the pages?
That was flipped. That read
That was flipped. Okay.
left to right.
So, because
I don't
I
know
would,
about the Dark Horse black and white ones though.
I don't recall.
They put out those big volumes. I have
Right.
no idea.
Outlander, I think, was one of theirs.
No, I mean Akira.
Oh, when Dark Horse did it?
When Dark Horse did it.
I think they did it the Marvel way as well. I don't think
remember.
it was until the Kodashas they went back to the original. I'm not positive on that because I never bought the Dark Horse ones because like I had most of all the Marvel ones, and so I don't recall.
I tried rereading
But
Akira
but up
recently.
here I have Marvel's original Akira books
I
from
got
Japan.
ah.
Those are the
Oh, okay.
original
Those are
ones
the
that
ones that they sent to Marvel.
they sent to Marvel, and it has all the little flag tags on there
Ah,
that office must have put to go, okay, this art is correct, this is the, but they're the original Japanese ones
ah.
that was sent to Marvel to use to make the Akira books at Marvel.
I got rid of my Marvel Akiras years ago when I was selling a bunch of stuff. Then just recently, I tried rereading it um, on digitally, and I only made it a few issues in before I went, really not into Akira anymore. Wasn't bad or anything, just didn't hold my interest.
1200 DPI rendering should be a nightmare.
No, well, the great thing about that was that it was, even though yes, it was 1200 DPI, that was it, black and white books.
Bitmapped?
And bitmapped, black and
Yeah.
white, so it did keep the files technically small in a sense, but there was nothing to do with them. I wouldn't even attempt to color on those or anything like that. But because it was black and white, it was totally fine. And then I'm just lettering them and sending in EPS files. So that, even though 1200 DPI sounds crazy, it wasn't for black and white bitmap files.
And you know, it was funny. Last week, when I was ordering comics, like I always do every week, I see what I got coming, get an email from my comic shop. Shows what I got coming in, shows links to all the comics that are on file owner cutoff. And what I usually do is in a separate, just a little text file, I copy and paste the stuff I got coming in. And then I copy and paste the comics I'm interested in, pre-ordering. And then I'm like, then I figure out which ones are in the budget to pre-order. And the last couple of weeks, I think I had like 10 comics each week, which is a lot. This week and next week, I think I was 6 comic week. And I think I had like 5 comics in there. I was like, I can't, I got to think of my budget. I can't, order 10 comics again. So, I decided not to get a few comics. Then I got word that my friend died. And that evening I was like, screw it. What's another $15 in comics? Life is short. So
I totally get that.
I ordered 3 more comics that week.
In Portugal, we had the Flip the Akira in Colors by Steve Olive, which was a was a strange choice by that publisher, because they are known for only they were known at the time for only doing European comics.
Yeah, that's the Marvel stuff, right?
Steve was doing the Marvel stuff.
And they ended up publishing Akira,
which is one of the first digitally colored
comics. Yes.
For some reason, they also got the rights to Harvey Kurtzman's Strange Adventures, which was a one-shot that was published by Epic with it was an anthology, multiple artists. There's a Sergio Aragones story. There's a Dave Gibbons story.
Yeah, speaking of stories by everybody, one of my top of the printer comics this week that I didn't know I had. I was looking through, I look every week. I show them off on my weekly pull. I usually take 2 comics and put them on the top of my printer so I can look at their covers all week. And I went over to my Craig Russell section and I found this, which is a Ryan Sook cover. But I was like, what is this? Where did I get this? It's from July of 2012.
Yeah, they did a couple of those revival one-shots. There was a Time Warp as well.
It's got some nice artwork. Must have some Craig Russell artwork in it. That's why I got it. Here's some some Michael Allred artwork in the back.
Oh, neat.
There's Kyle Baker artwork. There's what else do we have here? I'm not sure. Oh, there, that must be our Mike Kaluta artwork on that page there. That looks like Kaluta. I think there's some Jim Lee artwork in here. But I was like, oh, I'm going to have to read this. Who is this? Oh, there's I recognize that art. Fred Harper. I don't know what else Fred Harper has done. I recognize that name and the art looks familiar.
Fred Harper.
I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Jordy Bellette, Ming Doyle. I don't know who that is. Oh, who's this first one? Is this Ryan Sook? Ramon Box. But I just thought this looked cool. I'm like, the things in your collection that you don't know exist. So I'm going to have to actually read this one sometime this week.
Fred Harper did some work for Marvel.
I recognize his name.
He inked a Ghost Rider story at Marvel Comics Presents.
A very nice Ryan Sook cover, too.
Yeah, I kind of remember those, but I didn't. I should have bought them, and I kind of let it slip by. That I don't
remember it at all.
The name sounds familiar, but I don't remember seeing the book.
Mystery in Space has been a series of theirs over the years.
Mm-hmm.
But Mystery in Space one shot from Vertigo? Like in the 60s, Adam Strange starred in Mystery of Space.
Right.
That's why you'd recognize the name.
And then the cover subject, that could be a mini collection on its own.
Yeah.
How many times has that Rockwell painting has been done? In comics alone.
Well, this isn't quite the Rockwell triple. It's the same composition.
It's similar,
but it's not this trip. She's not doing a self-portrait. She's kind of reading. So I don't think it's actual, but yeah, I know what you mean. That Rockwell triple, where's it, quadruple self-portrait? Because we've got him there. We've got him in the mirror.
Right.
There's him in the painting. And there might be another mirror. So I can't remember. It might be triple self-portrait.
I think there's a reference photo he's using.
Oh, there might be a reference photo. There might be a mirror, a reference photo, the picture, and him
right
in the actual painting. So maybe a I'll have to look at it now because I don't remember. But yeah, that one's been copied.
If you remember Fred Harper's name, it may be from him working at Marvel. He did a lot of Marvel Comics Presents as inker, then as penciler.
Okay.
Usually Ghost Rider in the invention stuff, and then he took over Animal Man at the end of the run at Vertigo. And after that, it kind of disappears from regular work. There's a one-pager in the Big Book of Little Criminals at Paradox Press. He did a Technophage one-shot at PIG Entertainment. Also one issue of Neil Gaiman's Lady Justice. No, three issues. Yeah. Oh, you might have this one. Negative Bird number 48.
That's a series I always wanted to read / collect, but I never did.
Mm-hmm.
That's an anthology series by, is it Caliper who put that out? Caliber?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And have you ever heard of something called Shadow House Press?
No. I don't think I have.
Right, because that's what it is here. Okay, a couple more negative burns.
Because Negative Burn lasted for a lot of issues.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the Fred Harper story in the after besides the Mystery in Space, there's a similar Strange Adventures which came out in 2014, also a one shot. There's a Fred Harper story there. Here he's at WWE Superstars. Yeah, he wasn't doing anything on a regular basis. Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Terror. This was in 2018.
What? I may have gotten that. That sounds familiar. Was there some Corbin in that too, I wonder?
Probably it was published by Ahoy, so let me check.
Oh no, that one didn't have. I do remember that one now. You said Ahoy. Yeah, it comes back to me. That was yeah. I don't think I got that one, but my friend Rob did. That was one I looked at and was thinking about getting.
Yeah, he did a few things here and there for Ahoy.
It was like a horror anthology.
Yeah, and he's doing the new Toxic. He did the new Toxic Avenger. There's a story of his in the Illustrated L, a comic anthology about Weird Al Yankovic. Yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah.
62 says Kickstarter has a new Negative Burn coming out with writers and artists from today's comics. Interesting.
Okay. Speaking of Kickstarters, the Dollar Bin Bandits interviewed Steve Bissett about the Tyrant Kickstarter.
Okay. I'll have to check that one out. Did I see
that thing achieved the minimum threshold very quickly?
Yeah. Well, that's what that's a strategy with some of these Kickstarters. I don't know how low the minimum threshold was. He blew by it. He had a lot of money raised.
Yeah,
but sometimes they put on a purposefully low minimum threshold so they can go sold out in its first day or something. Funded in first day.
Right, because the math I did was like they had like 50. They had like 50 people pledge.
Yeah. But that one's got a lot of stuff in it too, all the way up to an artist edition of Tyrant. I was like, whoa, for like $175, you could get the artist edition of Tyrant.
All right, so he's got almost $250,000 pledged, 1,760 backers. Not bad at all.
That's like it's amazing too, because they said that what is that? 1,000 loyal fans is what you need as a comic book or a cartoonist to make a living. If you can get 1,000 loyal fans to spend $100 a year on you, you've got $100,000. And you can see how that's true on Kickstarter sometimes, because you see that that's a fair amount of money raised right there.
Yeah.
And for it to only come from 1,700 people, you're like, wow, you really don't need that many people. Relatively. I mean, I don't have 1,700 people who want to buy my stuff, who want to spend $100 on my Kickstarter, but that's not a ton.
So looking at it here, a few of the tiers have no comic. It's the puzzle and the blacklight posters. Those have either none or very few people interested. But if you throw in the puzzle with one of the editions, then people have pledged to it. But there's nothing dominating. So there are people buying the signed slipcase, buying the there's a few more of some than of the others. But
anybody buying the artist edition?
Yeah. Okay. So let's see.
That was way near the end when I was looking.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, there's the bundles here too. The most expensive bundle, man. Jesus, this is long.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's some campaigns. It's like this is overwhelming of stuff.
Yeah.
That is like, I'm not sure. Press the wrong button and order everything.
Yeah, the order, there's one for order everything, and it's $425, and it has 23 backers.
Wow, that's not bad
Well,
at
good
all.
for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my. All right, so let's go for the okay. This is the bundle. Complete edition blacklight posters.
I wonder how much the
$2
shipping
bundle.
would be on the order everything. That's the problem with Kickstarters these days. You don't always know what the shipping is.
Yeah, because unfortunately, that's the biggest wild card.
Yeah.
Is because when the campaign starts and by the time the campaign ends, shipping has changed.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like now the shipping is tacked on at the end, and you get, you get told this is what the shipping will be because some people still got to print this stuff.
Yeah.
And so that could be a few months.
And they could use
before
be using a service for the shipping, so they don't know the final price. I mean, that happened to me on those Radiant Black Massive Verse cards I got. A $40 set of cards with $20 shipping on it.
Yeah.
It was like,
so there's 76 backers for the artist edition, unsigned,
wow.
plus 59 for the signed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a $25 difference.
Let me ask you this. Would you pay $25 to get someone, random person, whoever, you're interested in getting the book? Would you pay $25 for the signed edition? Because I wouldn't.
Here's the thing. The art edition is $150.
Right.
The signed art edition is $175. At this stage, I don't think you're counting money. You're counting the pennies.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. That would be the only but I just am not interested in autographs. So I might not give the extra $25. But
yeah,
that's just me,
I'm not
I'm not an autograph
interested.
person.
I know that sometimes people will offer free autograph because you paid the $150 for it, and I'm fine with that.
Right.
There's that. It's.
Now
I
the
guess it's
complete
because I
edition.
come from a time where you went to go buy the book from the author, and they just tossed in the autograph.
Right.
Charging for an autograph after you spent so much on the book seems to be a little bit there for me, where it's like I don't like the idea, but I see why it's happening.
Right.
And
if there was a remark, I might.
Yes, and I think a remark is something completely different. But I have, I've charged for signatures because, I was invited to a con and I'm a part of this group where it's like, yeah, part of this is that, signatures are being charged for and they like prepay for everything. So they show up and it's like, oh, here's your ticket that they prepaid for my autograph. In my mind, it's like, hey, you bought my book already. I was just going to toss in the autograph, but each person has their own way of doing it.
Yeah, but if you're talking about the complete edition, I understand. It's $50 for the complete edition, which is comic size. The artist edition is larger, so 50. That they have 715 backers. The version with slipcase is 70. That's got 183, and the complete edition signed, that's $75. It's got 93. So here there's a bit of a difference because you're buying a $50 book and you're adding 30% on top just for the signature. It's less of a difference in the artist edition.
The more expensive something is, the easier it is to throw on another 25 for an autograph.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because you're spending a ton of money anyway.
And then I've done things where it's like, oh, you're doing cards. And so if I'm signing, 200 cards, then yeah, I can see charging for it, because I've done that for like the sketch cards where I would do for Transformers was like that, where I did artwork on it where you had one person penciling and another person inking, and I was coloring it, so I got paid for that. And then it's like, oh, and we're doing these special sign ones. I was like, okay, I could see charging for that because that's part of the process as it goes, where signing for books is becoming the process as part of that. But then, you know, how do you figure out what to charge for your signature? And that becomes a thing too, where it's like, right now I think my base is $5.
Right. I'm not
And
William Shatner.
yeah, exactly. And then I see other people, in that category, like Mark Hamill. I think it's like $500 for the autograph, and that doesn't even count the item to be signed. So they're selling something that to be signed is different than if you brought something, and it's wild. But again, it's like apples and oranges. I'm not,
Yeah.
like you said, I'm not William Shatner. I'm not Mark Hamill. You know, and even $5 was like I had to charge $5 at this table. And I had a friend of mine is like, I'm not paying that. It's like, all right.
I ain't paying no $10 to have a water heater delivered. I'll do it myself. Wait till your father gets home. That was a cartoon from the early 70s.
Yeah.
I only ever saw that one episode for.
SBPT wants me to send my resume to Penguin Random House. I think I'd be too problematic for them because the problem with Penguin Random House is a comic book portfolio. They have a mandate that they only publish LGBT graphic novels.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna publish some things with super people, or some things that with shooting people, and I'd go over there and say no. Okay,
Huh.
fine. But I have no idea who's buying those books. Somebody. Here's the thing: the big publishers, when they every once in a while they try to publish, they get the rights to comics, and there's a few that. So they set up an office for publishing comics. They get one person in there. That person does everything. They get the rights to a dozen things, so that they can fill up the bookstores. Those dozen things don't sell as expected, and after 2 years, they dissolve that post. So
He's saying you could be that guy for 2 years selling nothing.
nope. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
1.9 million with what was that? 1.9 million with only 4,000 backers. It's hard to think, and it's like
I don't know. Oh, but okay, so it's a complete IDW set. How many issues are
it's one of
those?
big. I've seen it before.
Right. Okay. So, but even then, 4,000 backers at almost 2 million. So 1,000 backers would be 500. And backers 50,000. 10 backers. $500 a backer, almost.
That's a lot.
If they're doing a premium type of hardcover edition type, people will pay for that for their bookshelves. They won't read the books.
Probably a quarter of those guys are half the money.
Yeah, no, there's no point in history where here's the thing, some people in the Portuguese comics world know me. The person from Penguin Random House doesn't know me, so she would never hire me. The more expensive something is the easier it is for me to tell it. Yeah,
there is that.
Yes, definitely. People have a price they're willing to pay for one thing and not something else. Sometimes you won't blink an eye on, like art supplies. Yeah, I'll get this. I get, blah blah blah, and then I'll hem and haw for something else. It's like, oh, I don't know if I want that sandwich, kind of a thing. It's like, really, that much? It's weird.
And Sequential Geek is back. We haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, how you doing? Hello.
Tell me, Sequential Geek, do you think I should be an editor of a comic book line? But there are people who thought, okay, there are people that would say that if they published U.S. comics, which is kind of difficult right now around here, they would ask me what they should publish. But even then, trying to get something to sell over 500 copies is hard. The biggest problem with the U.S. comics is that because a lot of the comic book readers can read English, you put out a volume 1, they don't wait for the volume 2. They go to Amazon and order volume 2 in the U.S. edition, and then the comic doesn't sell. So if you want to publish something, publish French comics, because there are fewer readers now who are able to speak French than there were 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's 300 for the IDW set and 600 for both the Marvel and IDW sets.
Okay. That's how they reach that $500 threshold pretty quickly.
that is the house rent, especially because you need to rent the house to put specifically to put all the comics in.
Hashbag. Now is that hash like in corned beef hash or hash like hashish?
Don't narc, man. If he wants to enjoy some medicinal herbs, he's fine. He should do it. Like, yeah, please be there to the comic book. Yeah, I do this. That is running 60 just. Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds like
but you have to come up with $300.
Yeah, the problem is not that they're expensive; that there's too much of them at once, which is the problem with omnibus editions as well. No, my resume is not better than a comic book because I don't have experience in book publishing. My experience is in sports journalism. I can edit stuff in a newspaper or a magazine, but I've sent resumes to book publishers. They don't even call me back. And I think that for those that publish technical books, I'm ideal because I'm familiar with specialized language. So, but I'm not really familiar with the market. But then again,
the hashish weed, corn as in Osborne, LOL. Well, I'm not a millennial, so cringe doesn't bother me.
One of the reasons I voted to legalize pot in Michigan was so I didn't have to put up with the hippie bash each year. So,
$100 parking.
Bought my first new comic in years today because I needed a long box in order to use my card. My purse had to be over $10.
Let me show one of my new comics of the week. I got another Joseph Schmalke comic.
Oh, we bought Herculoids #1.
Ooh, but that's a good one. This is We Don't Kill Spiders, Season of the Witch. Joseph Schmalke has a
wait. Friar Tuck, get the rest of the series. Okay, you won't be disappointed.
No doubt, good point. Midnight Factory is Joseph Schmalke's own publishing imprint. And this is the one that is sort of this mystical, magical, old-time Viking horror story. Where there's where there's witches and magical, supernatural people walking around, and this guy just had to meet with this magical god who's fading away to try and help him win his wife back, who the witch woman won over. So it's fun horror Viking stuff. And very nice cover. One of these, I love these indie books that have a good cardstock on them. $5. So it's $1 more.
Does it have a fifth ink?
What was that?
Does it have a fifth ink? Or
not a fifth ink. Matter of fact, let me show you. But something like, what did I just get? Dead Samurai, which is a $6 book. I think this one's got some metallic paper on it. It's tough to see. It's just a metallic sheen to it. Once again, nice thick paper, even thicker than that one because it's got that metallic stuff on it. So paid even $1 more for this one because of the Bill Sienkiewicz cover, I'm betting, and because of the special metallic paint. Like I said, it's really a subtle metallic ink. I don't even know how to describe it. The camera doesn't pick it up very well. But this has been a fun series about samurai fighting zombies and all sorts of political intrigue going on too. The zombies are just like this is issue 6. The zombies were sort of the main. Oh, and this one we get some translated from Portuguese. Because this guy right here is blind, and he was a slave on a Portuguese boat. Whose captain eventually freed him, but then he went blind, so he's working on these other Portuguese boats.
Right.
Because if my knowledge of the Shogun novel is right, the Pope divided the world between the Portuguese and the Spanish.
Yes.
And the Portuguese got Japan. So there's Portuguese sailors in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny, you know how they do that, which I like in comics, when they give you the brackets, the triangular brackets, and tell you translated from Spanish or something like this.
Yeah.
Well, this one is, I would guess, all in Japanese, but it's written in English. But when we got the Portuguese part, it gave us the brackets and said translated from Portuguese, just to let you know that these guys weren't speaking the same language as the main characters.
Right.
I found that interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there anybody? No, of course not. There's nobody speaking English in the story, no?
No, I assume it's all Japanese they're speaking.
Right,
but
right,
it doesn't say translated from the Japanese, because there's no real need for that, because everybody's speaking. It's in Japan. It's in ancient Japan. We all know they're speaking Japanese. So there's no need to tell us.
Right.
But there was a need to tell us they were speaking Portuguese.
Right. Yeah. The thing is, the Portuguese established by the time the Portuguese established contact with Japan, the
zombies were all dead.
No, the majority of the European powers had rejected the Pope's notion that the world was to be divided by only 2 countries. So that's why they had a piracy, because most of the pirates were actually agents of their respective crowns,
right?
England and France, and the Netherlands. And by the time we established contact with the Japanese, we were under Habsburg rule. We were not an independent nation. So the notion of dividing the world between Portugal and Spain did not really exist. It was just Spain. Also, Spain up to the end of the 16th century meant the whole of the Iberian Peninsula, and that's when the crowns of Castile and Aragon were merged, and they started calling themselves the kings of Spain. There was some issue with the other kingdoms in the peninsula, because Spain was everything, and what they were saying what they were calling themselves kings of everything, and we couldn't have that. But since our royal family at the time made the mistake of doing a lot of first cousin marriages with the Spanish crown, we ended up losing our independence for 60 years. And Navarra was for most of the time controlled by France, but among the wars between the French crown and the Austrian crown, the Habsburgs ended up taking over Navarra and merging it into Spain as well. So that's how they got control of everything. You'll recall that in Shogun, Blackthorn is working with Dutch sailors.
Yeah.
Because the Spanish Netherlands had rebelled against Habsburg control.
Boy, it was complicated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, imagine that Iowa is at war with Arkansas, but then next week Arkansas goes to war with Georgia. That was.
Were you about to say something, Wilson, before?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
England and France, the main big villains of world history.
Spain should be in there too.
Yeah.
For destroying a lot of South America, plenty in North America too.
Yeah, killing cool stuff. No, we try to rewrite our history so that we come out all right. Usually by being the European country that is the most able to handle hot sauce.
Hot sauce.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the books I picked.
My dad grows chili peppers.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Let's go, Wilson. What do you got?
So one of the other books I picked off the shelf, as I mentioned before, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Godzilla. So complete merger of the characters. We find out in the past that the Foot Clan was originally there to actually prevent the kaiju attacks of Japan. And when the Shredder, when he was young, and Splinter, when they were young, they had the choice to try to protect Japan from Godzilla, but they could not come to an agreement because they have to enter a spirit realm to be able to practically talk to the kaiju. But unfortunately, Splinter did not wish to do that. In the process, he felt that he should be able to attack Godzilla any way he wanted to, and that was how they failed the first time. In the course of the story, he starts mixing up kaiju blood and the mutant gin to create kaiju gin. And in the process of the story, the turtles get touched with said kaiju gin and merges with some of the kaijus. So Leonardo has the DNA of Godzilla. Michelangelo has the DNA of King Ghidorah, and Raphael has the DNA of Rodan. And then April is mixed with Mothra, where you can see in this little corner. The Shredder is controlling the Mecha Godzilla to attack Godzilla. And Donatello has merged Jet Jaguar with Metalhead, their metal turtle. So it's kind of a mix of Donatello, Jet Jaguar, Metalhead. So they're basically all fighting together, trying to move Godzilla away from Japan. And they figured out they're going to have to try to enter the spirit realm to convince Godzilla to go away. So while that wackiness is going on, we also have Shredder going around causing havoc. So it's a good mixture of the Ninja Turtles and Godzilla in the series. And I believe this is the last issue of it. Yes, I believe so. We have Mondo Gecko in here as well as Casey Jones. But they stay in human form, protecting April. So it's a good story. It's a lot of fun. I got to get all 5 issues together and read it all through because I mainly just been reading. Usually when I get this one, I'm reading it on the train, going through it real quick to get the gist of the story. But I've enjoyed it. IDW has been doing a good job with Godzilla projects, and then even
we got a lot of them.
These silly are going great, and it helps that it's also Godzilla's anniversary, so it's been a lot of fun. So this is a don't miss book, I would say.
Did you pre-order the Godzilla Romeo and Juliet one?
I have not. So far, I have to check to see basically if I could put it on my pull list. I've just been mainly just keeping an eye out for it because it's
Yeah,
like I
'cause
have to have 10 books in the pull list to keep that active. And I like
Mhm.
that I don't have to go to the store all the time. But I also do like pulling books off the shelf. And some of the Godzilla ones are kind of fun to put off the shelf.
Yeah, I ended up not pre-ordering that one just because it was like $8 or $9. And I was like, ooh.
Right.
And Tom Scioli only did a few pages in the back too. I forget who was doing the main story. But I was like, yeah, I can pass. You know, the budget's not going to allow that one. I think that week I was like,
Right.
I
It's
already
like
had a ton of comics.
when it comes out, I can know it's like, oh, I can get it this week because I only
Yeah.
have this many books. Because there have been times where I'll have, no books, which is
Right.
fine. And then there's been times I would have like close to 10 books show up the same time, and it's like, ooh, that's a big cut into the budget. So
It's next week.
look at that. And so yeah, again, and I do like looking on the shelves for stuff
Right.
to pull off because again, it makes me feel like, oh, I'm looking at what's there, and sometimes it's just the cover will pull me, and it's like
Right.
I want that.
I like looking on the shelf too, but the books I buy are really not on the shelf.
Right.
That's the problem.
Colin says after his wine party, guest left him some herbs, and you watched your walking video while using them.
Thought he was back in America.
Mhm. Yeah. By the way, you really should use that boombox on your next walk. That'll be part of the New York experience.
There you go.
Parts of your walks downtown are exactly like my downtown. Similar of
Yeah.
buildings and layout in a lot of places.
I think I walked down 8th Avenue this week. I'll be posting it tomorrow.
The Odyssey's out in June.
Like here's a book that would never be on the shelf. This is Arcadia #4 by
Nice cover. I like those colors.
yeah, nice one. Inaki Miranda and Roy Miranda. And we were trying to figure out what that like at the LCA. He's like, because Roy was like, "Is that the number? Are they numbering each individual one that's printed?" I'm like, "I don't know." I went to the website to see. He's like, "Is there a place to enter the number on the website?" I'm like, "No," because it says, unlock your story ignitionpress.com, but there's no place to put in a 4-digit number. And you can put in any 4-digit number probably and get something. But this is the one that's the story about these are artificial humans. They're living in a world after all the humans are dead, and they're trying to figure out what they are because they really don't know. They're long-lived, but they do die. And there's like zombies running around too, that if they in the populated places there are zombies that they and it's about this young couple, except this, and it's going 12 issues I think, except this is the guy I'd call who showed up this issue, and he's the Han Solo rogue character. So he just got our young couple in trouble that they have to get out of. But I've been really enjoying this one. I've never heard of the Miranda brothers before, but they're doing a nice job with this. And Ignition Press has put out some good books. So I've been happy with a lot of their books. Hey kids, it's counting. 2411. Printed numbers make it a trunk key. Keep it in your trunk. Make it disappear.
That'll be the next collectible. Numbered editions, but specific numbers will have our different collectibles.
There have been some comics like that.
Yeah, people will want the issue number 69.
Yeah, or like maybe one of them spells out your birthday. Trying to look for that one, or whatever's a lucky number.
422.
Yep.
Trunk key just reminded me. I wonder what the sales numbers are on that Walking Dead Deluxe. Because I see one person on YouTube has been buying it all this time. And I don't see anyone showing off their issues of Walking Dead Deluxe. even though from all my Walking Dead buying this past summer, I've noticed there's a lot of nice, since there's like each issue of Walking Dead Deluxe, which is, of course, is the color version that they've been putting out for a few years now. And it comes out twice a month and with like 4 or 5 covers a month. And they're also doing a lot of connecting covers. So I actually see a lot of nice covers to that Walking Dead Deluxe, but I'm always like, who's buying this? Who's this aimed at? I'm not sure. Because probably everybody there was nobody clamoring for The Walking Dead in color. Nobody.
Right.
But I'm guessing they're eventually going to replace the black and white trades with color ones. Make a little extra money, and then it'll be a color book. But I think it would probably sell better in trades than these individual colored issues.
No, until they announce an animated series, and then
Wow.
now that's why you need it to be in color,
Yeah,
because they're taking those colors from the animated series.
Yeah, but they put out the colored issues. They get rid of some of the production costs. So now the trades are cheaper to produce.
Yeah.
If they had done the colored version specifically for a trade or at least an omnibus, for an omnibus it would make sense. But might as well get some money out of it.
Spread out the cost of coloring over the
Yeah.
individual issues. The individual issues pay for the coloring. But I'm still wondering how many people. What do you think? The 10,000 would the print? Would you think that would be a lot, a print run for the Walking Dead Deluxe? 10,000, 20,000? Because there's 4 covers and issues.
I have no idea what printing numbers are nowadays. I'm so far removed from that. I don't even go looking for like that information. So I am not even sure. I don't even know where to get that information now that I think about it, because that used to be information that I would get from like Comics Buyer's Guide or whatever was a weekly type of thing we were getting.
What's that website? Back when Diamond was exclusive, I can't remember the name of the website that used to get all Diamond's numbers that were public. Comic-Con, that's it. Now they have to estimate.
Right.
A lot of
so
stuff.
I don't know what's a good selling comic nowadays.
Well, I know
what things are even number wise.
I just know from them telling us some of like the indie books, like Bean. No, it's not the guy. Bean is the guy's name. Dork. There we go.
Right.
I can't remember what the first printing wasn't that big. Then they had a second printing at like 20,000. Then they had a third printing at like 30,000. And I think they said the order for the third issue was 70,000. And that's a really good number for an indie book.
Right. And are they letting us also know where is it selling? Is it only comic book shops?
Oh, it's only comic book shops because they're individual issues.
Okay. Yeah, so and the thing is, like, do we even know how many comic book shops are there?
Yeah, I don't know.
So because for a long time I would read this shop is closing, that shop's closing, but the last time I looked into stuff, I did start reading that there's shops opening up.
Sure.
So I don't know if there's been a trend where they're opening up a lot and we're just not hearing about it, or I'm not in those circles to hear about shops opening up. But I haven't read about a shop closing in a little while. So I don't know if there is an upswing, because the last few weeks, as you mentioned, there are some books that are going into third and fourth printing.
Of course, the Absolute books and what's the Kirkman the Kirkman Transformers GI Joe
the Skybound ones.
The Sky Infeneron. What is it named?
Oh, the Energon universe.
The Energon. Though the Energon books and DC's Absolute are making it a boom time for a lot of comic shops.
Yeah, and those Energon books are probably going to go up more because they're going to do the animated series that takes place in that universe,
Ah,
using those books as the source material. So that
no-
will probably mean Void Rivals will even get another bigger bump because no one knew what that was until it was what it was. It's like, oh,
right.
this is connected to Transformers. So, there are these little booms going up.
My LCS owner was just talking about retirement.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, I might be retiring in a few years.
To do the
And
comic book shop full time?
that's
Or
what I was saying to him, because he also is a coder who works for a credit card company or something.
Right.
And I'm like, you don't retire from a comic shop, you retire to the comic shop. And he's like, that's what everyone keeps telling me, but I don't know. He's like, I might just have the comic shop in my house. They can drive up and pick up the comics from me. It's about the same distance away as this one. Like,
Right.
oh, okay.
I think that's what the owner of Alternate Realities in Westchester did. He eventually closed up his shop, but he kept everything in a warehouse, and he just now exists online, and he sells everything that way.
Because he's got to keep the guy who buys everything in business.
Right.
Where's that guy going to turn to? I think there's only one other comic shop in my county, the Wizard one, and I haven't been there in 20 years. And I'm told that they don't even care about comics that much. They don't want to do because they need it, because Wizard magazine is the one who own it, and Toy Wiz now they are. So they need it for the loading dock to sell all those toys that they sell.
Right. Oh, okay.
They had a big Magic the Gathering space last I was there too.
Yeah, a lot of shops have been moving spaces so they do the game nights and stuff like that. It's like people are still collecting. It's a form of collecting. So
Under the impression that most people who played Magic did so online now.
No, people still card flop.
no, that's a card.
Plenty of people.
They want to play with other people,
Oh yeah.
and it's the physically, holding the cards.
Magic is as big as ever from the videos I watch online.
And I don't play, and I own a bunch of cards.
I bought those Spider-Man cards last month or two ago, just to look at.
Yeah, I have a bunch of the Spider-Man ones because I got them as
Right.
promotional stuff, and I have at least 2 or 3 Magic the Gathering packs that I bought when they first came out because one, I worked in a toy store, and it's like, all right, let me buy these to see what they're like in case I have to have a conversation, and it's like never did. So it's like, okay, so I have these. I think I gave a pack to Johnny Green because it's like I have
Yep.
no use for these, and I gave him a pack. And every now and then I end up finding a pack. And like, I guess I must have bought a bunch of them, but just never really went through them. I think I have a pack that I still never opened.
Unopened packs can sell.
Yeah.
How much do you think on average every comic here you would cost someone?
A lot of money.
About 75,000.
This guy's an anesthesiologist, so he has the money.
Still,
but he pays. I think the last bill he paid them was a couple $1,000 for
George Lucas. It's not George Lucas. Doesn't George Lucas own his own comic shop?
I don't know. I think at one point he did. I don't know if he does.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he does. And the last comic I got this week, I showed all the other ones, is Babs. Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows. And this is a comedy barbarian story. That's Babs right there in front. and that's her sidekick. I can't remember her name. She's her sidekick this series. And comes with a map. This one is the Black Road South. There's the Black Road South. Gave us a little story about the history of the Black Road South. And then the main story, the main story is that in issue 1, Babs and let me see if I can find her friend's name. Because it's weird that I don't know it. Lilith Lazuli is the other woman. I have no idea what her sidekick's name is. But in the first issue, they made a fortune, an absolute fortune on some job they were doing. So they went into town, they got drunk, and in their drunkenness, they decided to spend their fortune on this treasure hunting party, which they then forgot about, woke up the next morning, said, "Where's all our money?" Then they went out to find out what all their money was, and it turns out they invested it all in this treasure hunting party, who had already left earlier that morning after re-gearing themselves because they got all that money. So then they decided to follow these people on this treasure hunt to ensure that they got some more money from this treasure hunt. And the treasure hunt is this Black Road South where no one ever comes back from. There's just huge rumors of treasure down there, but no one ever comes back. So here they're actually on the road and just bad things happen to them. So bad, funny things. Garth Ennis's sense of humor, Jason Burrows' really nice art and storytelling. This is volume 2. I enjoyed volume 1. I'm enjoying volume 2. So check that one out. George Lucas is an anesthesiologist.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he does in his spare time.
Yeah, he puts people to sleep. He does. The only movie from the current era that I've seen is the one with the Han Solo origin story, and it's kind of boring. It's got some jokes in there. George Lucas never had a plan beyond 1977. No, we didn't, but that doesn't mean that things can't change.
He says retcons aren't canon. The Star Wars world would disagree with you. So I get all my Star Wars knowledge from Stupid Chainsaw Productions, who's this. He reviews comic books, but also regular books and movies. He's been around for a decade at least. But he's been reviewing like the Tomb Raider omnibus, the Punisher omnibus, all the Star Wars omnibus. But the reason I like watching him is, though of course he doesn't like everything, it's kind of serious to him. He's really into all the canons of this stuff. He's sort of realistic about how it happens and why it happens and retcons. But to him, he takes it kind of seriously. So that's why I like listening to his stuff. So it was like, he can tell you all about the Star Wars extended universe, I think is what happened in the 90s. It's like different things became canon at different times in the Star Wars universe because George Lucas didn't have a plan after 1977. So it's like all the time the Marvel Star Wars comic was coming out, it was not canon. But then sometime, I don't know, in the 90s or whenever, when the concept of the Star Wars extended universe happened, that all became canon. So even though it all doesn't fit, there are people like to discuss what fits and what doesn't. It's a lot of stuff to be talked about.
Lucas agrees with me. I created the characters and I decide what to do with them.
But it's hard for me to believe that there's people out there who care about the Tomb Raider canon and are aware of it. Like, wow, I wasn't.
Next thing
Yeah,
to have canon.
all- It's all
Monty
canon
Python's
until
Flying
it's not.
Circus. Mhm. Can you imagine if people cared about the Monty Python's Flying Circus canon?
Well, that would be easy because there's not much material.
Right.
Like one of the original canons to be cared about was Sherlock Holmes, but there was limited material, and the fans tried to fit it all together. Because I have an annotated 2-volume Sherlock Holmes, and I was like, whoa, these guys are the original. We're trying to fit all the canon together, guys.
They're the ones who are crazy.
Should we open Wilson's Daredevil?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the
Let's-
last.
Is that time of the show? We can do
My
that.
last book. Now, just tear it open. Do we?
See, I would
one-
use scissors because I always have trouble tearing those
Yeah,
things.
I'm going to use scissors as well. And do we cut it so we could then CGC it just to bag itself?
I don't think CGC will
As
bag
a
it.
collection. No, they won't. I believe that's one of the things that they'll want you
Is
to
they-
remove it.
And then I don't cut it deep enough and still can't
That's
get
exactly
it open.
what happened. I just cut it right at the point where it's not opening a single
I
thing.
do that too. I'm like,
I'm-
oh,
I am just so scared of cutting the book by accident.
me too. You don't know how many times I've done that.
I've done that with like cards. Trying to open up a pack of cards. Okay, here we go. So we'll get to see whatever it is. You guys get to see it first. And I'm not
Ooh.
even sure if that's the
Nice.
cover or this is the protective.
Oh, that's the protective piece of paper
That's the protective.
because they
piece of
wrecked
paper.
so many.
Right. So
But it's not
This-
stapled on, right?
no, it's not. So it's its own piece that you could actually keep. This is made out of the interior print where it's almost newsprint.
Man, do you have to CGC it
thing.
in that too?
Yep. But here you go.
Ooh,
So it has the defenders on it.
look at that.
I think that's
I
the
see.
defenders. Or is it?
Is it a wraparound?
No, because it
It's-
looks like it is, but it's not.
Because
So
yeah,
the back
the
of it
composition is weird.
is actually an ad
Really?
for Alias, Red Band edition.
Wow.
So there you go. Here is
Does it tell you who the artist is in the UPC?
this is Greg Land because it's
Okay.
on the cover. It says Land,
Oh, right. It says
Oh yeah.
Land.
and I'm guessing this is the cover that was done before because this says homage cover or homage variant. USA, so it's the 250th anniversary of the United States, and this
Okay.
cover does not look familiar. So I don't know what they're
piggybacking off of.
piggybacking off of. But so there's the cover. This is like I guess 1 and 2. I have no idea. I'm just making up numbers at this point. So I don't know if there is even a list. Hold on, the credits page. Let's see. Bicentennial calendar hidden gem variant, which I guess was a Sal Buscema one.
Oh, that must be from the 1976 Marvel calendar.
Okay. Greg Land and Rachel Rosenbaum does the after Buscema, so this is supposed to look like the Buscema one.
Yeah. I used to get those Marvel calendars in the late 70s.
Okay. I know which one you're talking. The bicentennial one that had.
But
the,
it was formatted horizontally, not vertically, so the cover's not lining up in my mind.
Oh, okay. Yep. So there you go. Let's take a look of the interior artwork. I do like the credits page designs. So as we can see, Stephanie Phillips, Lee
Gabbert, I think it is.
Gabbert is pronounced. Gabbert.
Well, I think there's an R at the end, right? Is it Gabbett or Gabbert? I say it the wrong way, whichever.
I think it's Garbert. G-A-R.
Garbert.
Garbert?
Garbett.
Garbett. Yeah,
Garbett.
there's the two T's.
I just know I always read it wrong every time I read it. Garbett.
Frank Martin is the colorist. And then VC's Arana Molar? No, there's no
Virtual
L.
calligraphy.
There you go.
Now-
I
now
do
was-
like that design.
Now, was that Chris Eliopoulos VC? Do you remember? It was so many years ago.
No, Eliopoulos is a different company altogether.
Okay.
Then right after that, the house ad for more books.
I don't know
Marvel
why they put house ads.
Premier collection.
Well, I wonder if that's like the premiere collection they did like 20 years ago.
These are 6x9.
Oh, okay. No, they're not. So what's the DC ones that are that size?
Oh, I forget what they're calling them.
I know they've been having success with them, so Marvel must be doing theirs now. Their version.
Makes sense. So, pretty good artwork.
Yeah. Lee Garbett. Now, did you see any other covers for that?
I did not. They were just a bunch of these all over the place. They were still opening boxes.
Yeah.
But I think between the signing and things that were going on,
Oh, that's right.
I didn't see a bunch of like covers. And that one was because I only had the 2 comic books. This was a buy off the front of the counter. That was an impulse buy at the counter.
I wonder if they open them all before Stephanie Phillips signs. Like,
I'm going to guess that they ordered regular books for her to sign.
Okay.
And that she doesn't sign. I mean, it is, you can sign on this.
Yeah.
Because it's, if you use a Sharpie, it should work well. Doesn't look great, so maybe not. Maybe they don't sign these because the Sharpie doesn't really stay on it well.
Ah.
But if anyone wants to purchase the limited edition tag only,
Hey, for enough money, you'll throw the comic in.
yeah, we'll start a bidding war with it. But
signed by its owner.
There you go. I had nothing to do with the book, but I worked for Marvel once, so I could sign it. There you go.
You're the new Stan Lee. You sign everything.
There you go.
It has been a lot of years.
Cheerleader of comics.
It's been a lot of years since I worked for Marvel. When you think about that, it's like, wow.
There's more years not working for Marvel than actually working for Marvel.
And I was there a long
almost
time.
10, yeah. It's just about 10 years, and it's like, and it's been some time.
I was there 15 years, and I'm gone. What is it? 21 now. Oh,
wow.
Man. The years just add up like crazy.
If a company has a gimmick and it does well, and the employee that is the lead goes to another company and does the same gimmick, I wonder if internally that's thought of as a trip to the lawyers.
There's no gimmick that's like company owned, because every gimmick has been done before that. All the Marvel, all those prison covers and stuff like that were all because it was on Budweiser did their packaging, because that's the guy who came to Marvel and was like, he was famous because he created a new color to M&M. So, and they worked on the packaging designs for Budweiser, and that was just putting a foil. So you just take that idea, just bring it into comics. So die cut comics, the anything that's been done was done somewhere else. I don't think comics had invented any real.
And you
Any real
can't like
gimmick.
trademark a bagged comic.
Yeah, even the recent is almost 5 years now. The Godzilla comic, that DC comic, you open it up and it roars. Hallmark did that how many years ago? And I
Yeah.
bet Hallmark didn't even come up with it. That had to
Oh.
be done by someone else. So there is
anyone-
nothing new.
Has anyone
I
ever
don't-
done a pop-up comic? I know Marvel did one on their cover once. I think
Forceworks is the closest to a pop-up comic, but even then it wasn't a pop-up, but it was like it opened up into a poster. So I don't think there was anything three-dimensional about it. Like a three-dimensional
I was
comic.
just picturing a Godzilla centerfold that popped up.
Right.
That would be very
That
cool.
would be pretty good. But as far as I'm aware of, I don't think anyone's done a pop-up comic itself. But very close to it and stuff like that. There was color forms on comics. DC did that with the Superman, one of the Superman anniversaries.
I just found an unopened version of it. I was going to make a video.
Yeah. So that was I think Milestone, the Milestone Spider-Man. Worlds
This was
Collide.
in Jerry's pile of books.
Yeah.
It comes with all these color forms / vinyl clings. You open it up and you can play with them and move it all around the cityscape. I just found this last week and I've been meaning to make a video on it.
Right.
But
and what year is that?
This is July 94.
Right.
Worlds Collide #1.
And color forms go back to 60s, maybe even the 50s.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I had the color forms Hulk and Spider-Man set, and they weren't even full color. They were like one color.
Color forms is a trademark. These are vinyl clings.
Yeah. So they can't. Yeah. So they weren't in color forms.
Yeah.
They used a generic name. But again, that concept goes back so many years, and it's like the 3D comic. They did that quickly, during the whole 3D age. That went through a lot of stuff, and comics was perfect for that. So, we had Pogs come in and go.
Thanks for rub the blood.
That was Image's gimmick, which is all that really was a you apply heat and the blood would appear. So Image did that for a hot second. My favorite gimmick was Continuity's comics Indestructible comic books. Whereas like there were comic book covers you couldn't rip. So whatever material was made out of, you damaged the book, but it wasn't ripped. Deathmate 2000.
Some kind of plastic
crossover thing, yeah.
I saw too that since Marie Javins is all happy about it, a new Mad Magazine thing that the DC people were doing. Did you see that?
No, I did not. They're working on a new Mad project?
Yes, and there's a new Mad project, but I think what was amusing about it was done by like the normal DC staff kind of thing.
Okay.
Making fun of DC or something like that. I got to figure it's not going to be funny. When someone makes fun of themselves, it's usually not that funny.
Yeah,
but,
so it's not signed by the usual gang of idiots.
Yeah. But I think it was for Final Order Cutoff a couple weeks ago, and it was like, and once again another one that was like $8-9, and I was kind of like, maybe that'd be amusing. I'm like, no, I just don't want to spend that much money on something that might be amusing. I'll look at it first if it's on the shelf.
I found an actual pop-up comic, Tokyo pop-up book, a comic adventure with Neko the cat. Published in 2018 by Tuttle Publishing and winner of the Moonbeam Children's Book Award.
So it's probably a regular pop-up type book, though, than if it was a children's book.
Yeah, but it's got some sequential storytelling in there, but not Not everything seems. Yeah, there's some. So it kind of qualifies as a comic, yeah, because it has
Okay.
sequential storytelling. It's 14 pages and costs $25.
Yeah, that's a pop-up book. I always, whenever I think of pop-up books, I think of a fellow student who I always wonder what happened to her. I barely knew her. She was in when I went to SUNY Sullivan, my first school. That was 2 years. I think she was in a couple of my classes, or maybe she was behind me. But she loved pop-up. That was her thing. And she would make pop-up books. I mean, cut them out, do the engineering and cut them out herself. And I was always like, wow. I I probably only knew her that 1 year. I don't remember her name, didn't talk to her that much, but I was really impressed by her pop-up books. And ever since 1986, I've wondered what happened to her because her pop-up books were so cool. But in those days, there was no social media. Once you graduated, that was it. There were some people you stayed in touch with, and most you never saw again. I was explaining that to one of my students this week because one of my blogs I was writing this weekend was about a summer job I had in 1987 and 1988 at Prentice Hall, a book distribution warehouse. They're also a publisher of books who got bought up by somebody recently. And I was just describing the people who I worked with, because in those days, if you quit your job, you never saw anyone again.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can, if you meet somebody one day, you can follow them for the rest of your lives if you want, basically, with social media. And Marvel was a little different because we had comic books in common. So you could always talk to people until social media came along. Then we got in touch with everybody again anyway.
Yeah.
But like with comic book people, you always had, oh, so what are you reading? And you could always, like with regular people at a regular job, what you had in common was the job. So once you left the job, you didn't have anything to talk about with most people, and you never saw them again. So I was like, I didn't even remember these people's names. I just remembered who they were. Older woman, young mother, cool guy. That's all I college kid. That's all I remember who they were. It was like, and I was just writing it down before I completely forgot who they were back in 1980s and what it was like working in a book distribution warehouse in the mid 80s.
Yeah, in the automotive press, we kind of have the same thing. Even if we leave,
you at least have cars in common.
Yeah, we know where people are, and we still talk to them. Hey, you haven't seen me in ages. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You'd run into them.
Mm-hmm.
But most jobs weren't like that. It were just regular jobs, You showed up, you did your work. You might even have a best friend at work who you hung out with all the time at work.
And then
you're not at work. He lives in one place, you live in the other. Oh, well.
It. Yeah.
Was a little sad. And I always say, that's one of the things I like about social media is you can keep track of people who you'd never, like one of the people who's fun to keep track of is Barry Dutter.
Yeah, I never knew Barry. I never met Barry. I knew of him, but watching his Facebook stuff, it's like that's a lot of fun.
He was an editor at Marvel for a few years. Now he's dealing in comics out, and he sells them on Facebook, and he's always telling you about his buy. And he's like someone I would never. He lives in California. I would, if this was like a normal job in a world before social media, I would never have known. He'd be one of those people you never know what happened to because he's on the other side of the country. But now I can follow his comic book selling adventures. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Wilson didn't even know him, but he can follow his comic book adventures.
But we have just so many friends in common that it just like it popped up. And like I said, I knew of him. I knew that he worked at Marvel. And then there's been plenty of times that I've met former Marvel employees that I never knew during those times, but end up running into or being introduced to them at conventions. Like, oh yeah, about a year before you showed up, they worked here, and then and the following on Facebook.
Yeah, but that was a different world. You
Yeah.
just never hear from anyone again. Because you were work friends. And that's why, especially men, older men back then, when they retired and had nothing to do and no friends, they die quickly. Because they didn't know what to do with themselves. They sat down in a chair and watched TV until they died.
Yeah, one thing good we have in Europe is because we can just get out of the house and go to the local cafe and you see your neighbors.
Right. Can't do that in suburban USA.
Right.
You can do that
Can't do much in the USA. There's a lot less.
You can do that in the big cities,
what they call third spaces, even in the big cities. Running out of third spaces, you know, because people aren't really drinking all that much anymore. Or at least outside, it's too expensive. They may be drinking at home.
Yeah.
But there's no. I feel like there's no real spaces to hang out at anymore. And
you know what's funny about third spaces? It kind of changed its meaning recently. In terms of originally, because you mentioned nobody's out drinking anymore in bars.
Right.
The original idea of a third space I had heard was a place where you can go and just exist without spending money. Which there's not a ton of them. Now I've heard it include like places people gather like bars. But you got to spend money to be there. So I don't know if there's an official definition of it, but it has become a bigger concept in recent years because people want spaces that aren't your home or your job, where you can go and be with people. Which, like you said, you can go to the local. But see, at first I wasn't sure if the local like cafe counted. Not that we have local cafes to hang out in a lot of here, because that's someplace you have to go and spend money to be. And especially
for us, I think the cafes were the coffee shops.
Right, like a Starbucks where you could stay all day.
Right. Your coffee shops are expensive. Our coffee is not expensive. So here's the thing: because if you open a cafe in a residential area, it's different from opening a cafe in a work area.
Right.
So the cafe we have downstairs, it's my neighbors. So we all see each other, and you go, we get a coffee. You don't spend a stupid amount of money, but it's a place where people hang out. The problem is that the average age around here is already past 60.
Like my friend Ed was just telling me that was another of our friends' birthday who lives up in New Paltz. And so a lot of the New Paltz people got together last Friday. They went out to take her out to dinner. And he was like, we were done by 8 o'clock. I was like, 2 hours. And he's like, got there at 6 o'clock. He's like, and he was a little shocked. He's like, we were done by 8 o'clock and we're all broken up. Because like you said, usually we're used to, if we have a party at someone's home, it goes on all day or it goes on all night. But it's like, since it was at a restaurant, 2 hours is a long time in a restaurant. They move you out pretty quickly because they want to make more money with someone else at the table. So I found that interesting when he said it. Huh. I show off all my books. I think I'm going to move on after this Eclipse Monthly. I'm going to reread Vanguard Illustrated, which I got a few issues I was missing of. Vanguard Illustrated is I think that Pacific Comics. It was either Pacific or Eclipse right in the beginning.
I think it was still Pacific Comics. Yeah, Vanguard Illustrated. I think it was. Let me confirm because I remember the name.
So I'm going to reread. That was like a sci-fi anthology. One Pacific.
Yeah, it's Pacific. 7 issues.
7. I'm going to reread that one next. Now that I've finished Eclipse, I'm going to go through some more early '80s anthologies that I've got.
Nice.
They solicited a further 4 issues, which weren't published, but I think some of that stuff may have ended up at Eclipse or.
Oh, and I finally think I have some art videos. I was working on some more today that I got it down where I've got some made, and I'm going to be posting them. I posted a couple of them on my Patreon, and I'm going to post a couple of them on. I'm going to post what I finally did. If you remember last week, I think, when I was talking about it, the problem was it took me 2 hours to make a 2-minute video.
Right.
Just not tenable. So I got it down to a version where it took me 2 hours to film and edit a 12-minute video, which I also broke up into like 5 2-minute videos. Easy enough. So I've got sort of my format down. I'm like, all right, I think I can do this.
Very nice.
But I'm also thinking about putting some music behind them too. So if you come up with some like 12-minute ambient music, let me know, pal. Something for the background of an art video.
I can do 12 minutes. I can do more than 7 minutes on Suno. Here's the
Well,
thing.
something that repeats then.
Yeah, but I'd have to manually edit.
I can manually edit. You can just give me a 6-minute version or whatever. Sort of background music. I can put it in there a couple times. That's no problem.
Yeah, that depends on the type of background music that you because I do have some things that.
I don't know. That's just it too. I have no idea what I want to put in there.
Yeah.
Artwork.
Artwork.
Put it in just the beginning and the end, but I'll mess with music like once I get things up and running more.
His artwork, you go with jazz.
There you go. Like, maybe
Mr. Rogers intended.
But if you got some ideas, Paolo, I'll feature your music.
Yeah, and I'm only doing instrumentals, so no lyrics.
Yeah, that's fine.
That works perfectly for like videos, because you want the background music just to be interesting, but at the same time you don't want it to be overpowering. It's like with I've done a few background music with TikTok, and their editing software is so bad. It's like I put it to like I could barely hear it, and then when it plays, it's like it sounds louder than I am.
Background music? You mean foreground music for TikTok? Just this week, I posted my usual video. And one of my regular viewers was like, just to let you know, there's blaring music over your video. And I listened to it. I'm like, sure enough, there was blaring music over my video. So I deleted it and I was uploading it again. And I had noticed that usually it tells you song or yes or no. And I say, no, I don't want a song.
Yeah, I want to control it because they pick weird music. And sometimes
I don't even need music.
It's on there. Yeah.
But this time it was taking a second. So it was like my video would upload, it would be there, and then I'd click next. But in that screen was where I was supposed to pick music, but it didn't come up for a few seconds. Because next time I did it, I uploaded it and waited. And all of a sudden, a few seconds later was music. I was like, no, and then hit next. I hit next too fast because their no is real slow now. And I was like, tricky.
Yeah, they don't make it easy.
This thing is still not creating trance music the way I want to, but I think I've got the tribal house and the progressive house. It's working fine.
All right, send me some stuff. I'll see if I can use it.
Yeah, I did something called Jack. I put Jack Kirby on in the prompts, and it generated some things that it's kind of, I don't know. But some of this actually sounds like stuff that I like. That's the thing. The thing about this AI generated music is that because it's your prompt, the end result is something that you like. Other people don't care, even if they like this type of music. It's not music that they would like.
I got my mic levels all good with the lapel mic, so that problem had been solved. Like I said, I got the format down where first I hold up the book and then I shoot from over top of the book. That worked too. That's easy. I talk for about a minute on each one, edit them right together. I don't like in and out edit them. There's no reason to do that. I tried that the first one. That's the one that took me 2 hours to do a 10-minute video. I don't think there's any reason for that. And so we'll see how and I have like a 5-piece art show. So it's, and I give a little introduction and I give a little outro, and show the 5 pieces first, one heads up, one face down, one heads up, one face down, talk a little about them. And then I break it up so that I have the whole thing as like one 10, 12-minute video. And then I do each 2-piece section with heads up and then face down. That becomes one video. I'll use those like on social media, I think. I think the format works okay.
Very cool.
I also tried out Premiere Pro's the Facebook music button. Interesting. I also tried Premiere Pro's on the iPads. They have ones like social media edits, but they're like 8 seconds long. I'm like, this isn't Vine. We make videos longer than 8 seconds now.
Yeah, they got to be a little over a minute.
Right.
Is the preferred for TikTok.
Yeah.
And Instagram is like, I think 30 seconds is what's supposed to be for them.
Right.
I think they've gone to a minute, but it's like, sometimes I forget Instagram exists, that I'm on Instagram because of the limitations. Or
Yeah.
TikTok, I could just ramble.
And
it goes on. Oh, okay, it's 3 minutes.
I go to Instagram to see what my friends are doing because a lot of them are Instagram.
Yeah.
I go to TikTok to see other people, people I don't know, because no one besides you, I don't know a ton of people on TikTok, just a handful.
Right.
But Instagram, like everyone's on, and a lot of my former students are on Instagram, so I'll check out their stuff. Younger people are on Instagram. Well, we should let Paolo get to bed now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Where's my balloon?
Because I'm already on summertime.
Oh, so you're later this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need some sleep. Some sleep. I don't know how you stay up this late to begin with. I couldn't do it. I'm yawning at 9 p.m.
Well, nobody told you to wake up at 5 and go cycling.
Ah. That is true.
Right.
All right.
Next week on Jared's channel.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.
See you.
Have a good one.
Take care.